what's going on, friends and family? My name's Skylent, and today we're going to be talking about my picks for the upcoming best new isometric action RPGs. Now, I just recently did a list on adventure action RPGs. That's going to be more over the shoulder and more focused on the action, where actually, even though this is the originator of the term action RPG, these are actually more focused on the looting, more focused on the paper dolling, and while not tactical or, you know, like the classic RPGs or Japanese RPGs, while not that slow-paced, there's definitely this weird mix and very interesting, unique flow, especially with these isometric action RPGs that you have to kind of see to realize, which is why the viewpoint is in the genre name. It's, you know, how it looks and how it plays is pretty freaking intertwined. So if you're, you know, having a blast with maybe something like Diablo on the PlayStation 4 or currently, you know, Path of Exile, things like that, if you like games like that, there's a bunch of really cool games, especially online functionalities and even some MMOs out there that are coming out that look really cool and I think are going to be really exciting for you guys as an evolution of the isometric action RPG genre. Get hyped, keep it alive. Let's jump into the list. Alright guys, first game on our list, here at number 5, I've got Warhammer Chaosbane, the new action RPG in the Warhammer universe that happens to look a lot like Diablo, which, that's not a bad thing. It seems like in many ways mechanically it's also following suit with that console familiarity, making the game really mostly from the ground up for consoles, seemingly, at least from the gameplay that I've actually looked at. Now we have to play that to know, but it just reminds me a lot of my experience playing Diablo 3 couch co-op on PS4, and that's kind of a good thing, I think. Now, for some players who are your Path of Exile type of players, maybe this will feel a little bit lacking, and I don't know if it's going to do justice to the Warhammer universe and fandom, which most Warhammer games don't. It's a very mixed bag and generally very miss. But Warhammer Chaosbane looks like it's something to be interested in. We don't have too many very cool isometric action RPGs that excite me personally, but ever since Vermintide and a few other Warhammer, initiatives, I'm kind of starting to get more on board with these type of games, and I think that this could be a cool stepping point, at least for somebody new into ISO action RPGs. At least, if you're going to be playing this on consoles, it's probably going to be worth looking at. Next up, we have a game called Last Epoch. Now, this one's exciting because you guys suggested this, and this is actually a crowd-funded game, so you just know there is some hype being kept alive here. Now, there is even a playable demo if you guys want to check it out, and I kind of just like the appearance of this game versus everything else, at least on this list. It's going to feel a little bit more gritty, maybe? I mean, sure, some things are going to be gory and dark, but like this game just kind of feels a little bit more kind of like that 90s feel, you know what I'm saying? But it looks really good. So it's going to be a very loot-driven game, which, I mean, all these on this list are technically loot-driven, but hopefully we're going to have some really interesting itemization, especially since this game has time traveling. I don't know what's going to go on with that. Character building, crafting, and an item system that guarantees endless replayability according to their Kickstarter. So with that sort of focus, if we can have sort of like a system like we had in Path of Exile, how much replayability is in that because the abilities and everything intertwine with the gear, it'd be cool if Last Epoch kind of does something similar like that. Like the loot is really detailed and it really changes gameplay. It allows us to constantly replay. That would be fantastic. So a crowd-funded game. Looks like a lot of people are excited, much hype for this. Maybe you guys should as well. Next up on our list, halfway through, guys, we are talking about Torchlight Frontiers. This is the brand new game that was just very recently announced, and there's a little bit of confusion of if it's an MMO or if it's an action RPG. And in my opinion, like it's probably gonna be like an MMO light, if we can define that. Basically, there are gonna be open zones, and it might feel something familiar to people who played Mu Legend or actually games like Destiny to an extent. So you do have these open fields. There are players that run around, but like a dozen, maybe 16, a small number of players, and it's mostly gonna be focusing on you jumping and diving into dungeons. But there's supposed to be this sort of like procedural generation to the world. There's supposed to be a lot of very varying different biomes and zones, and the class design, of course, coming from Torchlight, should be a little bit more intriguing compared to a lot of games, even some on this list, that we've seen so far in the ISO ARPG genre. It kind of gets a little bit repetitious. My spin to win, bros? Exactly. So Torchlight Frontiers seems to be kind of a breath of fresh air. I think it's going to be really cool. I think as an introduction point for players into the genre, because you could jump in on console. Seems like it's kind of meant to be played with controllers in a lot of ways, and it just seems cute and cartoon, and it just seems very readable. which is something that historically wasn't quite the case for the genre, which is now becoming a trend, which for Frontiers here, I think is just really a shining, brimming example of it. It doesn't seem half-arsed, it seems pretty great, in my opinion. So I'm liking the way the game looks. So far, the gameplay seems like it's going to be pretty interesting, and from what they've said, they'll implement into the game, and especially those online features, I think I'm willing to, you know, give this game the benefit of the doubt and jump into the grind day one. So look forward to that. And yeah, next up, number 2, we have Project TL, which is actually the Lineage project. I know a couple other content creators that were, you know, they played it and they were really excited for it, but there's definitely some ups and downs here with opinions, because they were going to do one thing and then did a different thing, and you can even tell with the name change, Project TL, that the direction is maybe not so direct. So we were going to have like this hot swapping mechanic with different classes, and then I don't know if they're going to still do that, and I don't know, wibbly wobbly stuff is happening with this game, but it's still got a big production value. It's still a big game, a big name, and they're pushing something out. So, you know, whatever that's going to be, the trailers they've shown, it at least looks good. It seems like an interesting spectacle, and I think it's going to be good. Like, frankly, that alone, just frankly, the money that they're putting into this game alone is something that's astounding and makes me kind of impressed, because generally isometric action RPGs are more budget, and right now there's a lot of indie games, you know, a lot of Kickstarter games, and they're really more hyper-focused. So maybe this one can kind of broaden the spectrum, give us something new. Maybe it won't be great, I don't know, but I'm putting it at number 2 because I'm just really optimistic. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And finally here, our number 1 for isometric action RPG that's upcoming is gotta be Lost Ark. And actually, really, this is just a video to kind of promote this game a little bit, like just hype it up. I mean, when some of your first trailers are just like 17 minutes of just how gorgeous your game looks, and you know, there's just raw gameplay, and everyone is just frothing at the mouth because of it, dude, you know you got something special here. Lost Ark is a game that looks gorgeous. You know, every point that I could have said about every game on here, mostly, Lost Ark has. Now, I'm a little bit worried about the paper dolling. I'm a little bit worried about the itemization and the economy, because this is actually a proper MMO, apparently. It's going to have an overworld and traveling traversal mechanics. Then, of course, that dungeon diving, which the gameplay for that looks amazing. I'm just worried that it's going to be too light of an MMO, and then those online components might actually pervert the action RPG, you know, the RPG mechanics, the paper dolls, the itemization. But regardless, even if there was no items, if it was just an actual spectacle action RPG, holy crap, what a spectacle. I mean, those boss fights, those spells, the sweeping, swathing attacks, it just looks really freaking cool, man. So Lost Ark for style points is way freaking up there. Now I'm just a little bit worried how long it's gonna take to get over here to us. I think it's a game that everyone's looking forward to. I think it's a game that doesn't need an introduction, doesn't need to be on more, you know, lists, especially at number 1, but it's something that I have to say. In terms of just looking at these trailers and which ones are gonna do something cool, unique, and special and fun, Lost Ark is number 1. Now, is it gonna be number 1 for ISO action RPG fans? I don't know, but then again, that's probably why I mentioned Lost Epoch, why maybe you might be interested in, I guess, Warhammer, Chaosbane, and some other titles out there. But then again, we also have such a rich history of these titles that you can probably go into your backlog and play, and you can even go and play maybe some more tactical action RPGs, which I have a list on those as well coming up too. So lots of RPG lists coming up, but Lost Ark, you know, is probably going to hit a couple of those MMORPG, action RPG lists. It's probably going to hit a lot of them. It deserves it. I don't know if it's going to be for everyone, but I think a whole lot of people really want to give this game a shot. So for that reason, I'm slapping it at number 1. Alright, but that's gonna be it for my list, guys. Thanks for watching. All I could really do is just look at the trailers and try to find these new games and spit them out. Kinda wish I could have done a top 10, but a lot of these games were actually just kind of being spit out like too fast. I've actually missed a few, so I don't know, I'll leave the links in the description if you guys want to check these games out. But definitely, if there's a game I missed, you know, let us know. This is a community effort, guys. It's just an upcoming list. You know, don't take it as a full review or anything. Just shout out anything you want to keep the hype alive for, right? So leave in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. And what do you think about these games? Which ones are going to make it? Which ones are going to fail? Which ones are going to break it? And how do you feel about the isometric action RPG as a whole? Is it a little bit too samey? Because I gotta be honest, I kind of am getting that vibe a little bit. Even the ones that kind of go above and beyond and do something really weird like Path of Exile, it just mechanically feels very, very samey. But I know RPGs, the RPG factors, you know, the paper dolls, the itemization, the story, actually, generally, I think that's kind of samey too. So that's just my opinion. That's probably why I couldn't find more games to be excited about. But these are the ones that I am. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. You like these games. And if you didn't know about a game before, then go ahead and give me a like so that I know I'm doing my job. Okay? Now, which games should I be buying and reviewing? Let me know also in the comments below. Let's have some fun, guys. Keep the hype alive. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you again next time.